What were you the god of again?
He really is still worthy. The God of Thunder is set to return to the big screen in Thor: Love and Thunder, where the character takes his latest step in his grand transformation from the whiny papa's boy with bleached eyebrows to the MCU's funniest Avenger.
Human handshake to the Asgardian shake, into the snake that you cannot trust. Really dragging this out and finish the classic Asgardian high one.
So how did he wind up this way? Let's recap. Here's Thor, the story so far.
When I'm king, I'll hunt the monsters down and slay them all. Just as you did, Father.
The MCU's Thor is about 1,500 years old, or at least he says as much in Avengers Infinity War, which means his full story begins more than a millennia before the first Thor film. It also technically makes him the first Avenger, but who's counting? You got something to add there, Cap?
No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, I thought so. But earlier than all of that, Thor's secret sister Hela helped his father Odin conquer the 9 realms before Odin banished her and took all the credit. That will become relevant some 1,000-ass years in the future, so keep that tucked under your winged helm for now, and let's keep moving. Anyway, Thor was raised by Asgardian King Odin and Queen Frigga on Asgard with his half-brother Loki, actually a frost giant from Jotunheim. Odin took pity on Loki and raised him as his own son. But Thor, of course, was always destined for the throne, even though Odin told them as boys that either of them could be king. That underlying fact was something both he and Loki were always very aware of. It often defined the nature of their relationship. And that's where we find them both at the start of the first Thor movie. Back when Thor's most defining features were stalwartness, hitting, and those aforementioned bleached eyebrows, he begins as a man-god child, trying hard to prove himself as king material to Odin, after his royal recognition ceremony gets crashed by frost giants. Thor's bullheadedness and eagerness to solve problems with the business end of a hammer just get him banished to Earth, where he learns to care about weak mortals via Jane Foster, the first human he meets. Meanwhile, turns out Loki was the one who ruined Thor's party by inviting the frost giants in the first place. He also was trying to get Thor killed on Earth, trying to get Mjolnir back, with S.H.I.E.L.D. getting very much in the way at every turn. Thor faces off with the Destroyer, an enchanted suit of super armor sent to kill him by, you guessed it, Loki. The battle levels a small town in New Mexico, and in the end, Thor sacrifices himself for the townfolk, an act that redeems him as worthy to wield Mjolnir. Bing bang boom, his powers come back, and so does that magic hammer, and he dispatches Devastator pretty quickly after that. After a quick ride through the cosmos via the Bifrost, Thor has a showdown with Loki, destroying the Rainbow Bridge between Asgard and Midgard, aka Earth, in the process, and Loki seemingly dies. Prepare for another shock, because Loki is not actually dead.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
Thor saves the day by gaining humility, and all seems mostly well, but he isn't able to visit Jane, and they're both sad about it. Point is, at the end of Thor 1, the God of Thunder still has his bleached eyebrows, but still hasn't cracked the right tone for Thor. Without his trademark humor, Thor is just a pretty white dude generic superhero.
What's the matter? Scared of a little lightning? I'm not overly fond of what follows.
1 year later, Odin sends Thor back to Earth, but not because he's in trouble. This time, it's because Loki's in trouble and Thor needs to pick up his little bro because he is totally grounded. Loki, the villain of the first Avengers film, wants to make Midgard kneel to his overwhelming need to be the head bad guy in charge. Thor runs into the unassembled version of the other Avengers and immediately fights Iron Man until Captain America points out how dumb this is, and that they need to work together. He provides important Loki context to the Earthborn Avengers and helps stop a Hulk out on the helicarrier while bonding with his new friends.
We are not your enemy's banner.
Thor then protects New York from invading Chitauri's in an iconic back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back, and at the end of it all, takes the defeated Loki back home, but not before having a nice meal. The first Avengers film seems to be the spot where Marvel Studios started to use Thor as a funny character, both in the way he deals with the other Avengers and definitely in the final battle with Hulk. Time for Phase 2, Thor the Dark World. Thor 2 sees the reunification of Thor and Jane as the Dark Elves try to unleash the destructively chaotic ether, which is actually the Reality Stone in sludge form. Jane finds mysterious interdimensional portals near some children in an abandoned warehouse and finds a way through a portal to the Reality Stone/ether, which she touches, and it thereby infests her body. Thor scoops Jane up to Asgard, where Odin figures out it's the ether, and they try to figure out how to remove it without killing her. Dark Elves attack and kill Frigga, Thor's mother. Thor takes Loki and Jane away to face Malekith, leader of the Dark Elves, against Odin's wishes. Loki stays loyal to Thor and fights by his side until he seemingly dies again, and like the last time this happened, he isn't really dead.
No. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the cosmic event known as Convergence, where all 9 realms become connected through portals, starts happening, and Thor battles Malekith so he and the elves don't destroy all the realms at once with the portals. They do stop him, and Odin says, "Congrats, Thor! It's cool if you leave Asgard and do whatever you want now. Not in Asgard, it's chill." And in case it wasn't clear, Odin is actually Loki in disguise, the Loki that wasn't in the time heist. Thor's second solo adventure usually ranks near the bottom in most MCU rankings, and though Thor does have his funny moments and his eyebrows are no longer weird, Thor the Dark World is another example of Marvel Studios not quite embracing Thor's humorous side.
How do I get to Greenwich?
Take this train, 3 stops.
Are you even pulling? Are you on my team?
You're all not worthy.
The next time we see the God of Thunder, he's helping his friends from work quell a killer robot uprising caused by Tony Stark and mostly unwilling Bruce Banner. See, they tried to use Loki's scepter to power new AI to protect the world. The result? Disaster! Of course, goes by the name of Ultron, and he wants to keep the world safe by removing the human element. Like, completely. Of course, Tony's big plan to fix all of this? To create another AI against Banner's council, and lightning from Thor's hammer Mjolnir is the thing to finally give the new robot life. Well, he's less a robot and more of a synthesoid, but his name is Vision, and he decides right away to fight for humanity.
But we need to go.
In the end, the Avengers, assemble, and they defeat Ultron, once again benefiting from having Thor and Mjolnir on their side, while adding a few new members to their ranks. Thor, however, heads back to space to investigate what's going on with the other Infinity Stones. Also, it should be pointed out that Thor and Jane broke up at some point after the events of this movie.
Jane,
Where were you? I don't know you anymore. You're breaking my heart.
Tough break, Thor, but I think things may turn around soon. Thor was a valued heavy hitter in the final fight against Ultron, but he's definitely not the center of attention in this superhero ensemble film.
well done. just start my own team. Team Thor, of course. And it would be me and Daryl. Just us, right, Dee?
Yep.
Next, Thor takes a little detour to Australia to just, be around the people, teach the children. Not that neither Tony nor Cap asked him to be part of their civil war or anything, except yeah, that's what happened. But at least Thor has Daryl, his roommate who cleans up after him, deals with him leaving Mjolnir on top of the toilet, and is sorta okay with him paying rent and Asgardian money. Bruce stops by to rub it in a little that Thor hasn't been asked to join Team Cap or Team Tony, but to their credit, he doesn't have a phone. Whatever. Team Thor! Thor spends time trying to figure out the Infinity Stone situation, trying to hire a servant, and musing how friendship isn't forever to a bunch of children. This moment is especially notable because it's all played for comedy, which turns out is Thor's newest superpower. He eventually leaves poor Daryl alone to go on to the events of Ragnarok, but Daryl ends up with a new, worse roommate, the Grand Master, in the follow-up on the Ragnarok home video release, Team Daryl. He, ends up missing Thor.
Really beginning to miss my old housemate.
Now this is where Marvel Studios finally figured out the God of Thunder. Yes! And probably the best Thor film so far. After taking a quick detour in Surtur's dungeon, Thor makes it back home where he easily sees through Loki's illusion as Odin, and they head to Earth to find where the real Odin is hidden, running into Doctor Strange along the way. They find a dying Odin who reveals Loki isn't the weird-looking sibling who doesn't fit in, Thor is, because Odin has a goth daughter named Hela who will arise and try to steal the throne of Asgard for herself once Odin passes. Hela, the goddess of death, almost immediately materializes and kicks her little brother's asses, destroying Mjolnir and sending Thor and Loki way off course when they try to summon the Bifrost back to Asgard. She also immediately murders 3 of Thor's 4 buddies and teams up with Karl Urban, who is in everything. Hela easily lays waste to her opposition and gets a skeleton army and the Fenris Wolf on her side. Thor lands on Sakaar, where a drunk Valkyrie captures him and he's forced to compete in a gladiatorial contest where he runs into a new friend, Korg, and his old buddy from work, Hulk, who also battle for the Grandmaster and his new friend Loki's enjoyment.
I have to get off this planet. Hey, where are you going?
Thor, Loki, Hulk, Valkyrie, and Korg eventually escape Sakaar to Asgard with the help of Heimdall, who is leading a secret Asgardian resistance. They have a showdown with Hela, who knocks out Thor's eye in a not amazing start, and continues to lay waste to everyone and everything. Thor remembers Odin telling him Asgard is not necessarily a place, but it's their people. Thor and Loki decide the place has to be destroyed for the Ragnarok prophecy to happen and for Hela to be defeated. To that end, Loki resurrects Surtur, who kills Hela as Thor gets the Asgardian people on a ship, watching Asgard's annihilation.
The damage is not too bad. As long as the foundations are still strong, we can rebuild this place. It will become a haven for all peoples and aliens of the universe. Now those foundations are gone, sorry.
Thor is named the new king and given the throne, which is really more like a captain's chair. Wait, where have I seen this before? Anyway, Thor saves the Asgardian people and everyone is happy except, oh no! So, the saving of Asgard via saving its people is short-lived because Thanos kills half of them, as he does, and Loki. Don't worry, Loki is never truly dead. It's fine. Don't worry. Thor doesn't know that though. However, the Guardians of the Galaxy show up to the rescue, and Thor quickly supplants Star-Lord as the cool guy leader in the team's hearts. Honestly, same.
You mocking me? Are you mocking me? Stop it, you just didn't do it again.
He gets Rocket and Groot to come along with him to ask the Dwarf King and smithing legend Eitri to forge a replacement for Mjolnir. This can only happen if Thor can take on the full power of the Starforge, which he does in a feat that almost kills him, but then he gets Stormbreaker, so all good. Newly OP, Thor takes the Bifrost back to Wakanda in a very timely entrance that turns the battle around. Unfortunately, in a moment that will haunt him, Thor doesn't go for the head, and Thanos survives what could have been a killing blow, completes his famous snap, and wipes out half of all life, changing Earth and the galaxy forever. Thor is absolutely devastated at the failure and takes it personally. And this takes us to Depression Thor in Avengers Endgame. The surviving Avengers are able to track down Thanos several weeks later in hopes of retrieving the gauntlet and undoing the blip. Turns out Thanos destroyed the stones and undoing it is impossible. The team is defeated, at their wits' ends. Thor knocks Thanos' head off anyway, and it doesn't make him feel better. 5 years pass, and Thor has clearly spiraled, seeing himself as an utter failure for what happened. He's put on weight, doesn't groom his hair, spends a lot of time yelling at kids in Fortnite, and drinks almost constantly. He's broken, and almost a different character at this point. He did, however, found New Asgard with Valkyrie, but she handles most of the day-to-day. Rocket Raccoon and Hulk recruit Thor to help with the Avengers time heist, where he returns to an alternate 2013 in Thor: The Dark World to get the Reality Stone. He has a panic attack seeing his mother, knowing they returned to the day she died. She talks to him, knowing who he is, and they have a heart-to-heart on coping with failure, with her encouraging him to follow his own path, proving that she had his character figured out in 2013, and it took Marvel a whole other Avengers film to see that he was trying to be something he's not. He also tries to warn her about her own death, but she shushes him, and they share one last hug before he summons Mjolnir, which isn't destroyed at this point in time, and he nearly cries in happiness knowing it means he's still worthy. In the final fight against Thanos, Thor stands with Iron Man and Cap, believing in himself again and playing a heroic role in double wielding against the Mad Titan before loaning Mjolnir to his friend. Thor and Steve watch mournfully after Tony defeats Thanos and dies on the battlefield. Later on, Thor names Valkyrie king of New Asgard, abdicating to join the Guardians of the Galaxy and forge his own path ahead.
As Guardians of the Galaxy back together again. Oh, where to first?
And that, my friends, is where we leave the god of finding himself, as he starts out on his 4th solo movie, a first for the MCU. He'll be back in shape, sporting a new look, and ready to find his own way as the one and only Thor. Oh, wait. Hey, does that mean we need to do another primer on Jane, aka Mighty Thor? Psych, we already did! She's all over this one, and it looks like her best moments are soon to come. Hey, thanks for watching, and for more Thor Love and Thunder, here's our breakdown of Gorr the God Butcher, and don't forget to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.
Because I have something worth fighting for.